Greetings to all of you. I wanted to follow up my recent video with another one to be guiding us in understanding more fully what it means to be moving into the age of Aquarius. As we're in that powerful transition time, it matters the choices that we're making now. We are, in a sense, in the labor pains as we're moving into that new birth, into these radically new paradigms. So how we handle that labor process, how we're handling this transition time, can either allow this new birth to be a gentle one or an intense time of crisis. So it is important, the choices that we're making now. But I want to talk more fully about the profound meaning of the conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn in Aquarius on December 19th, 2020. This is really marking, you might call it the crowning of the birth process, as we're moving more fully across that threshold into the new forms of the Aquarian Age. And I think the birthing and the movement into those new paradigms will happen more fully as Pluto moves into Aquarius November 2024. So these next few years are the transition time as we are going through our own process of transformation and preparing to move into these new ways of being. And I want to talk about the powerful transits that are happening right now that are guiding us through that process, and the ones across the next few months that are leading us to that threshold point in December of this year with Jupiter and Saturn in Aquarius. As I've talked about in previous videos, we have been in this profound time of change as all the way through 2019, Pluto and Saturn were conjunct each other in Capricorn, calling us to look at how we need to transform the systems and structures of our lives collectively and individually. It's led to the tumult of our systems breaking down. We're seeing how our political systems, our educational systems, medical and health care, all of our systems are out of balance. And we're needing to recreate them in new forms as we move into this new age. As we came into 2020, and especially March 2020, Jupiter came into that combination with Pluto and Saturn. Jupiter, that planet of expansion and of new possibilities, guiding us to begin to dream the new forms into being, guiding us to have faith that this time of tumult and of the deconstruction of the old forms is meant to lead to new possibilities and new ways of being. Jupiter has continued to be guiding us and supporting us in that transition process. Now we're dealing with two powerful times of planetary retrograde: Mercury retrograde and Mars retrograde. Mercury went retrograde October 13th and will go direct on November 3rd. Anytime a planet is retrograde, it's a call to step back, to reflect, to be more introspective. Mercury retrograde is a time not to be resolving things or planning or implementing new projects. It's actually a time to step back and be more intuitive and reflect more on how you're thinking about things and your thoughts and your perspective. Mercury, during that retrograde period, it started in the sign of Scorpio and it ends in the sign of Libra. So it, at the outset, was calling us to dive deep, to look at those deeply held thoughts and beliefs that we have and our ways of perceiving things. And as it emerges on November 3rd at 25 degrees of Libra, it's guiding us to emerge from that time of introspection with more of a sense of balance in how we view things and think about things. Remember, Libra is that ability to see our own point of view, but balance it with being able to respect and hear another's point of view. So I believe that this Mercury retrograde period has been trying to help us move out of being caught in duality and polarization, and to be more open to seeing other perspectives, other points of view, and holding things in a more balanced way. What's also extraordinary is, as it emerged, as it will emerge from its retrograde period, it will be squaring that powerful combination of Pluto, Saturn, and Jupiter and Capricorn. This Mercury square with those planets is a third quarter square, meaning that it's a time where we're in a crisis of consciousness and looking at what thoughts, Mercury, what ways of seeing things, what aspects of our perspective on life and reality and the world around us are we needing to let go of in order to be preparing for a new cycle and new ways of thinking and seeing. Mars went retrograde in September and will emerge from its retrograde November 13th, 10 days after Mercury comes out of its retrograde. Mars in retrograde, and it was in the sign of Aries and has been this whole period, and will emerge at 15 degrees of Aries on November 13th. But it has been in this time of retrograde calling us to step back from our reactivity, our impulsivity, to step back from our actions, to reflect on where we're putting our energy, what decisions we're making, how we're acting and behaving. Mars has been squaring that powerful combination in Capricorn, and especially in a square with Pluto during this whole period of time. It started squaring Pluto just in August before it went into the retrograde, the beginning of September, and it will continue in that powerful square with Pluto until January 2021. So this is a time where we're called to reflect on our actions, our decisions, where we're putting our energy, to transform ways that we may be acting out in reactive ways or aggressive ways, Mars and Aries, in ways that are out of balance or hurtful to others. And we're being called to really transform the ways in which we act and how we use our energy. As Mars emerges from its retrograde, it will be opposite Venus in Libra. So Mars will be in its own sign that it rules, Aries. Venus will be in her sign that she rules, Libra. And they're really calling us into balance with that energy of the sacred masculine and the sacred feminine. They're calling us to balance our actions and the ways that we assert ourselves with how we are in relationship with each other? And is that way that we're acting helping us be in balance in relationship, Libra, aware of and sensitive to how our actions are impacting the others around us? Both Mars and Venus at this time will be squaring Pluto and that powerful combination of Pluto, Saturn, and Jupiter in Capricorn. So again, we're being called to be transforming how we act, transforming how we are in relationship. And the Mars square is a first quarter square, which is called the crisis in action. In other words, stop and assess before you move forward as that Mars emerges from retrograde. Really look and carefully and be conscious of where you're putting your energy and how you're acting. And be very clear about those ways you may be acting unconsciously from paradigms from the past, or operating out of your own woundedness, or operating and acting in ways that are hurtful to others. Venus is in a third quarter square, a crisis in consciousness. It is a call to look at how we are in relationship with each other, to come back into more balance in our interactions with each other, to step out of polarization and hostility and conflict, and remember that we are all part of this global community. And how do we act in ways that allow us to respect each other and care about each other and be in balance with each other? Another extraordinary thing in terms of the stars and planets guiding us through this process, when Mercury emerges from its retrograde period in the sign of Libra, it's actually in the sky beside the bright star Spica. The meaning of that star is, how are we using our energy to be in service to others, to do what is helpful and of value to those around us? So as Mercury emerges, it's a call to look at how our thoughts are serving ourselves and others in a nurturing way versus a destructive way. And as Mars emerges from its retrograde, Venus is beside the star Spica. How are we acting and being in relationship with each other, Venus, in a way that is truly allowing us to be of service to each other, to nurture each other, to be supporting each other? And what do we need to let go of that is out of balance and destructive? So it's extraordinary that as we're moving towards that threshold of the conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn in Aquarius in December, we're being guided to transform the ways that we think, how we act, how we are in relationship with each other. So when Jupiter and Saturn move into Aquarius, they're saying, you've been through this transformational process. You've been guided to let go of these old, out of balance patterns of thought and behavior and ways you're interacting with each other. And now you can move into new forms. Jupiter opens up the new possibilities, and Saturn helps us to put them into form and to really be committed to enacting them in our lives. And it is then about how we begin to step into the Aquarian paradigms, which are about equality, realizing our interconnectedness with each other, realizing how connected we are to the earth and the sky, remembering the wisdom that comes to us from the stars and planets and from Mother Earth, and coming back into balance and into remembrance of natural law, which is about how we live in harmony with each other, in harmony with the earth, and with all that is. We're being guided to let go of the ways in which we as humans can separate ourselves and get caught in our own illusions about our lives and caught in our own perspectives that are polarizing and out of balance. And these energies guiding us into the Aquarian Age are saying, come back into balance, come back into the remembrance that you are a part of the web of life. Remember how to live in a way that is fostering balance and harmony, equality, mutual respect, justice, compassion. And I do believe as we cross that threshold with the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction, it is guiding us in how to begin to put into form these Aquarian paradigms, which will mean radically new systems in our global community and in our local communities. As we cross that threshold into working with the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction in Aquarius, we are going to be guided in how we can collaboratively co-create new systems. New systems of how we govern ourselves that are much more about power with and for each other, not looking to leaders to guide us, not being caught in the old patriarchal, hierarchical power over dynamic, but ways in which that change will come from a grassroots level as we learn new ways to be in community with each other that is about balance, justice, respect, openness to diversity. We will move out of the ways that we've been out of balance with sexism, racism, hostility towards others who are different from us. We will be guided to see the richness of biodiversity and our human diversity. And this will shape how we do business, how we structure our economies, how we handle healthcare, how we handle our legal systems. It will affect every aspect of our lives. And it has the capacity to be a profound time of creativity as we together dream these new ways into being, as we listen to the living waters of Aquarius coming to us and guiding us. And this then will be supporting us as we move into those new forms and paradigms and prepare for the even greater transition time when Pluto moves into Aquarius, November 2024. And I believe then as we move into 2025, we will be more fully moving into these new Aquarian paradigms. This is the promise. This is what these planets and stars are guiding us towards. But we have to be taking responsibility for our lives and participating in that process. We have free will and we can resist those energies, in which case we will be staying in patterns that are increasingly more destructive. And we will be really creating more and more damage to our earth and destruction in our relationships with each other. But if we work with these currents of change and these planetary energies guiding us through this transformational process to this new birth, then we have the capacity to do it in a more conscious way, a more gentle way. and be a profound part of the co-creation of a new world. Let us join together and support each other in that. Not everyone on the planet will be able to work this time consciously. But if even a minority of us are, we can hold that energy in the collective consciousness, and it will transform the collective consciousness and allow us all to join in to these new, profound Aquarian paradigms. May we join together. May we support each other. And remember the meaning of this time of transformation that we're in. And be a part of supporting this new birth. Blessed be.